I am really very interested in starting back up with a podcast and, redoing my website. I was going to redo my website, and I lost my IT person, so I had to interview for a whole new partner in my next endeavor for online. So now I'm kind of back at the beginning, which is kind of a bummer. But I know
you mentioned you wanted to do some kind of networking.
To do it.
You wanted to do some kind of networking with your website?
No, I just wanted to revamp the whole idea of it. I wanted to make it more interactive, and I wanted to have more matches on there.
Okay.
And I wanted to be able to have like a live area on the space that I have set aside for the website when it goes live. I wanted to be able to interact with people and do chatting and have chat room, and also to also have like a video library of sorts about different subjects aside from wrestling.
Okay.
Like I want to do my take on sports and reviewing certain key games and certain genres that I'm very interested in. So what I want to do is my major hobbies, I want to bring it online and be able to interact with people who maybe know me from wrestling, but also share the same hobby or interest. I have a lot to say. I've been going to school for 6 years, and I want to share my viewpoints about where we're at in the history of humanity and where we're going. Because I think it's a great time to be on planet Earth. And our technology is advancing so fast, I would say maybe in 20 years from now, mathematically we will know exactly how to replicate some serious technology that's going to change everything about our culture and the way we view our life. It's just so amazing. I mean, the things and the products that we use right now were pretty much invented about 10 years ago. And the way that technology is going to advance in the next 20 years, it's going to be easy to just do things that we can't even imagine right now that we can do. It's just great. I'm so excited about the future.
No, you sound very enthusiastic about what you're talking about, and that's a very good thing that to have that much enthusiasm about the future and where it's going, and you want to jump on board and be part of that. Can we dip into your past a little though?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Okay.
What do you want to know?
Okay. Well, I kind of want to know a little bit about the ECW days back in the day, and give me a little bit of a personal background of yourself and your relationship with Paul Heyman. And there's a lot of crap that goes on about Paul Heyman, but only people who worked with Paul Heyman know Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman is a genius, and I think one of the main reasons why Vince McMahon keeps Paul Heyman around is because he's afraid if Paul goes on his own and does something, he's going to upstage him again, like he did the first time with ECW. Because when ECW TV was at its peak, it was better than anything that's on WWE, even right now. Mm-hmm. It just, blew the doors off everybody. And now, it's just like wrestling on TV is so complacent, it went backward. It's almost like it reset, and it's trying to go before ECW existed. But take the bits and pieces of it, but then tame those bits and pieces down to make them more banal and ordinary. And, it's not smart the way that they do it. They should have, when they bought ECW, Taz should have never lost to Triple H. That was a big mistake. They should have kept ECW strong, because the whole competition of ECW between WWE and WCW, that was what was good about it. That's what made everybody want to watch every single wrestling TV show that was on when it was on. Now, the way it is now, it's just like Barney the dinosaur. It's so boring. It's like, la, 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 go, put me to sleep. I can't even watch it. I'm bored after 10 minutes, like, and not even 10 minutes before it goes to the first commercial break. I'm like, shh, all right, whatever, next.
Now, what's your opinion on the current state of female wrestling in WWE and TNA?
Well, TNA is far better. You know, I haven't watched that either because when that started getting to Hulk Hogan and Brooke Hogan was on there, I was like, peace out. You just turned it into a joke. It was the coolest thing before that. I mean, it still is good, but I just can't. I have issues with that. I mean, the political side of wrestling is what ruins wrestling for the fans every single time. And they spent all that money for something that was so unnecessary. And now you read that they're in problems all the time. And, you know, I'm not a Vince Russo fan. I think that he should just stay out of female wrestling completely. When he starts nosing into it, he ruins it.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain type of people in this wrestling business that want to treat women's wrestling different than they treat men's wrestling. And part of it is their insecurity and thinking that the women will upstage the men, because sometimes they do. But you know what? You should be grateful that your females are that talented that they make the guys jack their game up to the next level. I mean, that just elevates your whole show. I don't get it why people don't care about the whole show. Every single wrestler out there that does spot after spot to show off what they know how to do, and they're so great, they ruin the whole show. Know your role on the show, know what you're supposed to do, and do your job great. It's supposed to build up the whole show. It's supposed to be like a team. You're supposed to be like a family. You're supposed to care about the people watching what you're doing, and that is what's wrong with the WWE. They shove it down your throat, this is what you get, and take it and like it. And then they just figure out how to make you like it better and put all the glitter and the trimmings around it, but it's still the same crap. They just put it in a different package. It's junk.
I can't disagree. I can't disagree. I think one of the biggest culprits of the ruining of wrestling is the internet, and it just too many ways for people to go out there and kind of ruin it on the internet with spoilers and false rumors and all this nonsense, and then you go and you watch the product and it just never lives up to the hype. There's too many pay-per-views. I loved it back in the day when there was 4 pay-per-views a year. You had 3.5 months of building a storyline, which was unbelievable. Now you have 27 days. It's just it's never going to live up to the hype.
You know what? And that's a great point. And that's where UFC beat wrestling. Pro wrestling was the hottest stuff on pay-per-view when it was all the 3 companies and it was the competition. And UFC, just a little bit at a time, snuck in there and just gained a little bit of market share because the other companies were letting the pro wrestling fans down. And every single time they let the pro wrestling fans down because they let politics run the storylines too much, and they treat the fans like the fans were stupid too much. And every single time they did that, UFC gained a little bit of market share, But now UFC is a hot ticket. If you want to make money and have a good money career, go be a UFC MMA fighter. There you go. Don't get into wrestling because you're not going to make money as a wrestler getting involved in wrestling. That's delusional. That's gone because the people at the top control it so much. You're talking about companies that are publicly exchanged on the stock market. They don't care about you. They're a money-making machine. That's Vince McMahon's retirement and his whole family and everybody. They don't have to do another thing for the rest of their life. And they're going to take the easy way out. and you got to deal with it. That's what you get.
And pretty much, I think his family, in the long run, is going to be the downfall of the product itself. And they don't let enough of the wrestling minds have an influence in the wrestling product, and it's too commercialized, and now with the network,
right.
The network is shoving down your throat.
Well, it's not the network. Don't be confused about that, because listen, WWE went off of USA Network,
right.
and Mr. Heyman made us all believe that we were going to be the ones that were going to get that spot. But WWE is a conglomerate. It has other parts to it that contribute so much to the whole entertainment industry. They put out movies. Look at every movie John Cena was ever in. Who do you think payrolled the production of that? That was a WWE production. That guy wasn't going to get work acting anywhere else.
Right.
Please. The Marine, really?
Yeah, I mean, the movie was good the first time, and then when you watch it again, you just see how bad it is over and over again. It just, but
right,
I mean,
but that's
not everybody
the
can be
money
the Rock.
game.
Not everybody can be the Rock, you know.
Right, The Rock is a different story. He's actually really talented.
We'll never have John Cena on this show ever.
Because it would be the most boring show you ever have.
Now, how do you feel about all these recent releases from WWE, from McIntyre to Brodus Clay, and most recently Alberto Del Rio?
Well, Alberto Del Rio is a very talented heel. I was thinking, that they were going to give him a better spot in the beginning when they first introduced him, because he was a very, he's got it. He's very talented.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're a slow-moving machine. It's almost bureaucratic. It's just like, if you want to do something fast and get things going, that's not the way that they work. And they can't work that way. They just have too many moving parts, too far in advance, But, I mean, I think some of the newer talent for the men, it's good. But I don't really care about boy wrestling. I'm sorry, I don't care. I care about women's wrestling. I'm a female wrestler. I got into women's wrestling because I wanted to challenge myself as an athlete. And part of that challenge was that there were still some doors that were shut to us when I was starting in 1996.
Okay.
And my first match was with China. So she went on really rather quickly to do some great things for women's wrestling. Unfortunately, it cost her a lot for herself. And she lost herself, I think, part of the way there, or along the way. But what she did for women's wrestling was great.
Now,
getting to be Intercontinental Champion and wrestle men.
Yep.
That's brilliant. That's what women's wrestling needed. I mean, she earned that spot for who she was and her skill level. She was great. Those were great matches that she had with those guys.
Now,
and that's where women's wrestling should be now. It should be advancing.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be so far backward the way it is right now.
I agree,
think it's gone backward.
With that. Yeah. Now,
I mean, in ECW, they allowed me, and that's why I will never say anything bad about Paul Heyman or anything about ECW that's ever negative, because they treated me and allowed me to earn my spot in that company as a wrestler. I just happened to be a girl. That's the way women in this business should be treated, and we should be allowed and afforded the platform that our talent and ability, that we earned with our talent and ability.
No, that's a fair assessment. Now, let me make this announcement real quick, because we're about a minute away from getting cut off the air, but we're going to go into overtime, and that we will post a link for part 2 of the show with Angel Orsini as soon as it's wrapped up. So don't go anywhere, folks.